Hello, and thank you for joining us on Extraordinary Life today. I am your host, Danielle Desiree, and today I have a treat for y'all. I want to give a little backstory about this, but the woman that I have on today, it's interesting because I met her on Facebook. Her name is Conswella Williams, but it was funny. One day I was scrolling, right? And she had a reel on there of her and her son, JoJo. And she was saying her conversation with JoJo was verbatim of a conversation that I've had with my son several times. So what happened in the conversation was JoJo was trying to explain something to his mom, right? But he was hesitant because he wanted to curse. And he was scared to curse because he didn't want to get in trouble. So he was like, yeah, Mom. And he was telling the story. And then he was like, well, I don't want to say the next word because it's a bad word and I don't want to get in trouble. And she was like, well, you know what? It's okay. This one time, it's okay. I'm giving you permission. And he was still hesitant because he didn't want to get in trouble. Y'all like, oh, for real? Can I really say it or will I get in trouble? But the whole conversation just touched my heart, and it was just precious because it reminded me of me and Jordan. So I just wanted to welcome y'all today to Miss Conswella Williams out of my hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out ATL, DeKalb County, Decatur, where it's greater, which is where she is from and where she is. But Conswella, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'm doing great. So I really wanted you on here to tell your story about JoJo. And if you don't mind going back just a little bit for me to where, well, we're going to go back a lot, actually. We're going to go back to the beginning or as early as you want to in his early years. When he was first showing signs, if there are signs of autism, what was it that you were seeing with him in his early years?
Wow. Well, what's really funny is that when I was pregnant with JoJo, he actually did not want to come out. The doctor had already told me that he was going to be 10 pounds and I was going to have a cesarean. And so he was actually due like early December, and 9 months all the way went through the 9 months, and he wasn't moving or anything like that, which was very scary. And they were like, okay, we're going to have to go ahead and, induce and everything. And he was like, he was slightly moving. You had to really like nudge him, but he was like so comfortable. He was not ready to come out. So that in itself was something kind of different that was kind of alarming a little bit. But so when he was actually born, he just started, um, uh, he started not doing things that like the average, growing up as far as 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, he started being very like not talking, and he would look a certain way, and he wasn't like really expressive towards certain things. And it's like, his body language, it was no body language or anything like that. It was just, just like just nothing. So I had to like try to figure out all the time very hard on what he wanted or what he was possibly needing. And then so he started to around 2 years old, we noticed that he still hadn't walked yet. And the doctor was like, okay, he's a little slow walking, but eventually he will. And I was like, well, other babies are walking, now just like, why isn't my baby walking? Other babies walk at like 10 months. What's going on? know, so it's like, I was a little worried with that. And he finally started to walk, but he didn't start to actually walk until he was like maybe close to 3. And so, as he started to go to preschool, we were noticing that he still wasn't talking too much. We thought that maybe if he got around others that he might, do some talking and things like that. But, nothing happened. And between me and his preschool teacher, we were like, something's not right. We need to, we need to figure out what's going on. Take him to a doctor and see what's happening. And so when we took him to the doctor, they referred him to like a Gwinnett County specialist. Shout out to Gwinnett County. They're amazing with people that are on the spectrum and the developmental programs. But we found out that he had a developmental delay. And I remember sitting in there and they were like, he was 4 years old and they were telling me like, wow, he has the mind right now of, almost a 2-year-old. And, that kind of hit me because I was like, oh my gosh, I immediately started crying. I got emotional. Like, what do you mean? What are you saying? And so they were saying, well, his development is just very delayed. And, right now he's not talking. And the doctor said that, he may not ever talk. And so, that was very alarming. And, his father, he was, fathers sometimes are like, at least his father. I'm not going to say all fathers, but his father, he was like, they usually like kind of in denial. Oh, he, ain't nothing wrong with him. He's just, he going to talk. He going to do this, he start, I'm like, remember he just started walking right, and, he's still, and he's still not talking. And, so when they said that he may not ever talk, I was like, oh my goodness, so we just, just kind of stayed faithful and praying and just started just listening to the specialists, what can we do to possibly get him to communicate a certain way, to get him to talk. And, so it was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And then, finally, when he got about like 7 years old, he finally started to say something and I almost passed out. I was like, oh my God, he's talking. I was like, did y'all hear that? We was at the store. I'm like, did y'all hear that? My son, he talking. I heard that, right? Did y'all hear that? You heard that? They was like, yeah, he talking. They had no clue. But I'm running around the store like, oh my God, he's talking. He was like, he actually picked something off of the shelf and was like, yeah, I want that. I was like, what the hell? I was like, did y'all hear my baby talking? So yeah, that's how it started. And then in elementary school, we started to put him in, just regular classes and things like that. And, we let them know that there was a delay. So they paid attention to him, but it's like with a school with so many students, and this was like a huge elementary school. And so it was like, I want to say like almost close to 3,000 kids. And so he was in a classroom where it was like over almost 40 people.
What?
So, yes.
Ooh.
So they weren't really paying attention to what he was doing or giving him one-on-ones and things like that. And then one teacher specifically, I remember her name is Miss Rose. And she said, I think he may be autistic. And so I was like, wow, by this time, this was third grade. And I was like, yeah, well, he does have a developmental delay. They said that, we just need to work on him. They was like, yeah, I think, you should, see, I think he's on the spectrum. You should, take him to see. And so that's how we found out that he had autism. He was diagnosed by the internal medicine doctors who specialized in, ASD, autism. And they said, yeah, he's autistic. And he started doing stuff like, tapping. He had this one toy that he just kept tapping every day and just walked around doing it. He went in certain directions. He only went one way walking through the house, just all type of different things. And so that's how we found out that he was on the spectrum.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here as I'm listening to you, reflecting to a lot. There's a lot of commonality with my story and yours. Mine walked late as well. It was a very scary time for me because I didn't have any answers. I didn't know what was going on. Mm-hmm. Verbally, he was okay, but he was delayed in physical therapy, stuff like that. He had to have that occupational stuff, sensory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There was a delay in that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with his father. He was in denial for a while, like, nope, there's nothing wrong with him. He's fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He didn't get diagnosed until second grade. He was 7 years old. I'll never forget her name was Miss Nielsen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a lot of commonalities. And in school for him was hard in elementary because it took some time for them to get it right. It was like
Yeah.
first he was in the main classroom. That was too much and too overwhelming. He would run out of the class a lot. I was getting
Mm-hmm.
calls every day. Then they put him in a special education class. I think it
Yes.
was behavioral because at first they thought it was behavioral, and that was way
Mm-hmm.
too slow. Then they put him in an ASD special education class, which helped a lot, but school-wise, the schoolwork, it was still way too slow for him. So they finally
Yeah.
brought him back into the main classroom, and then he got an aide, and that's what helped him a lot, having that support in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're on the subject of school, how was your experience this time with things like teachers and IEPs, if he had one, and
Ooh, yes.
those sort of things, in elementary school?
Yes. So he started just as your son. He began getting uh, occupational therapy, speech. Um, Also, he had trouble with motor skills and things like that. So yeah, they developed. He started receiving IEPs. And girl, you know how long those IEP meetings be? They be like,
Yes.
girl, they be like 2 to 3 hours.
Yes.
And you're having to take a lot of time out of your day, just to just to be able to, you know, do the IEP, right? Because, they're going step by step, category by category on what they're doing, for development, what he needs, and, what you need to do, and it's like you're thinking, okay, they're going to help with all of this. They're going to, he's going to be okay, and they're going to, do all of these things where, necessarily it's not, it's just not only the teachers, it's us as parents that have to continue to develop them on our end. And to be able to, that IEP is so important. We have to in detail see what's going on and what he's actually doing, to be able to help him develop not only at school but also, at home, in surroundings and in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're right. I remember those IEP days, and there were times where it was a hassle just trying to get everybody to the meeting that was supposed to be there. But,
Yes.
it's when you're going through things like that, at least for me, I felt like I was alone. I was alone. There was no one that understood what I was going through.
Yes.
I didn't really reach out to anybody because I just felt it was easier to stay in the house with him. And I don't know if any of your experience was like that, but when you had those moments where you were raising JoJo,
Yeah.
where you might have felt alone, or you were frustrated and there was so much going on and you got caught up in those thoughts, which weren't healthy thoughts at the time. What were some things that you did to kind of help remind yourself to take care of yourself? What were the things that you had in place to help with that?
Wow. So yeah, definitely like you, I was alone, even though I was, married at the time. I felt like I was a single parent. I had to seek help because I suffered, from, anxiety and depression. And, how it feels like the whole world is coming down on you and you feel like you're alone and you're like, what, you're thinking you can handle everything by yourself. But the truth is you have to seek help. So I began to seek help, church family, therapy sessions, coaching, counseling, everything. I even started getting a health counselor. Started, following up on staying healthy as far as following up on what I need as far as my doctor's appointments and things like that to help me better take care of myself so that I can be strong and so I can be mindful of my son. Because without you, you're the only one that he knows. You're the only one that he trusts, right? So if you're not figuring out, if you're not pouring into each other, if you're not being mindful of each other, then it's not going to work with getting what he actually needs for his development. And it's not going to help you because you're going to be drained out. You're going to be stressed out and you're not going to be 100%.
Girl, you are preaching today, okay? I think that is so important. And I'm so glad you touched on that, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then what we're trying to output our children, it's just not going to be there, And I wish I had known that when he was younger and when I was younger, where
Yes.
I would have been taking care of myself. I would have had more patience. I would have had more energy. I wouldn't have been depressed and down so much and all of these things. Now that he's older and I've started focusing on taking care of myself more, I find that it's easier to be present with him,
Yeah.
And when I was watching you and JoJo in that reel, that's what was really highlighted for me. The fact that you were so present with him and the connection that you guys had. And while I'm touching on presence, I know previously you and I had a discussion where you were talking about blue room feelings. And I think I love the way that you explained that and what that meant and what it was. So if you can just touch on that for our viewers, what blue room feelings are.
Yes. So blue room feelings, which I also call it blue communication and blue knowledge, is like, it's so important to be able to know how to communicate with your child that's on the spectrum, right? It's very important because they are thinking on a whole nother level. And they are sometimes in even in the future and not in the present. So it's like they are on a whole nother cloud. And it's like,
Yes.
okay, we got to get with them, right? So it's just so important to gain mentally, gain physically, be knowledgeable of what they're thinking, be mindful of how they're feeling, how, what they're, to go deeper, what they have on, what they chose to wear, what they want to wear, what their odor is like. And that's so in depth because, you're trying to teach them on how to take care of themselves, but at the same time, communicating with them and showing them is two different things, right? So you want to communicate on that level that they are able to trust you, and because they are so intuitive, and I hope I said that right, intuitive.
You did.
They're so intuitive on everything that's going on in their surroundings. So it's almost like on a spiritual level. It's like they are seeing this world, right? And sometimes it's just them. But when you step in, it closes and it's just you and them together. So it's just so important just to be mindful of what they're thinking, how they're speaking, what their body language is like, how they're looking at you. And of course, people on the spectrum, they don't look you right in the eye, right? They kind of look over the other way, and you just kind of be like, okay, like I for example, I'd be like, JoJo, look at me, JoJo. And then he'll look at me, he's like, okay, Mom, sorry, all right. They say he got this Barry White voice. That's what really be throwing people off, because when you look at him, he don't look like how he talked, but he has this deep baritone voice. But so it's just so important to be on their level just to gain the meaning and what it's like, for him to feel and be able to communicate, because if things go on, he's in high school now, and things go on so much in high school. They say so many things, and they're doing, these kids are on a whole nother level now. They're doing all type of, things in the bathroom. They're, talking about, things that we didn't even talk about.
Oh, yeah.
It's social media now, and now they have access to devices. They're looking at what other people are doing, and they're trying to almost mimic. And now, the suicide rate in high school now is super high. Just like, I mean, even just not just in high school, but just all around. Like our kids are just, they didn't grow up like we grew up. It's like, I just can't describe the point that they're at. So just imagine someone on the spectrum that is absorbing all of that, right? So it's just so important to be able to communicate, to know, hey, how are you feeling today? What did you do today? What did you eat today? What did your teacher say anything out of the norm? Did the kids say anything out of the norm? And usually you just always want to be like, I'm here for you. You can say anything, you can do anything, just, we have this space and this time where it's one-on-one, me and JoJo, like, okay, setting everything aside and ignoring everything else. Okay, tell me what's the deal, so I think it's just very important, as far as communication. They're very consistent. Just imagine how consistent they are. They have this one routine. They want to stay the course. They want to stay the everyday routine.
Yep.
They want to, and just imagine, we learn so much from our kids that are on the spectrum. Imagine if we were consistent. Imagine if we were not procrastinating so much, and imagine if we stuck to our schedule like they did. Imagine if we, did those same things consistently, how much more we could get done, probably how much more successful we would be, with our goals and our achieving things. They teach us a whole lot. And, their memories are just amazing. Like JoJo, he's good with numbers, and he can remember everything. He loves history. And just imagine if you were able to do those amazing things along with you having the normal abilities, than someone that was on the spectrum. Girl, they teach us so much, and it's just so important, just to be on their level and remain on their level when communicating with them. I'm talking too much, but
No, you're not. You're dropping some diamonds today. What are you talking about? No, you're not talking too much. And I love everything that you're talking about, because we want to make them come out of their world into ours.
Yes.
Like you said, instead of going deep to where they are and trying to see the world through a different lens like they do. And it's funny because my son lets me know at times that he thinks the way we operate in the world is weird. Like, he doesn't understand it. And when I really look at some of the things that he does and some of the things that he says, no, he makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And you're right, they are super sensitive. They're super sensitive, super sensitive to a lot of things that we're not always aware of or in touch with, because we're moving so fast. Yes. We're doing so much. Mm-hmm. We're not as in tune as they are. Mm-hmm. And I love how you were talking about you were sharing about how JoJo has anxiety at times about the future, because Jordan does the same thing. Mm-hmm. Anytime we're talking about the future, what he wants to do in college and all these things, there's this panic that arises. And I have to kind of talk to him about it in a different sort of way, in a non-direct way. Yes. What are the things that you like to do? Well, you're gifted in this, you're gifted in that. Is this something that you think you can do and make money long term? Or how about we look and see, we Google and just see what it would take if you were to do that? Or it has to be presented differently, rather than they feeling like, oh my gosh, this is too much and it's overwhelming. And then they kind of shut down, Yes. And I just appreciate seeing the way you and your son connect and how you do deep dive like that with him. And I mean, I was able to see it in the real. That's what drew me in. It was just like, oh, they have a beautiful relationship. And the fact that he even lets you film him and you put it on social media, that speaks volumes for a lot of people with ASD, a lot of kids with ASD. So, Conswella, I wanted to also let the people know that not only are you this awesome mom, but you also own your own business. and moving and shaking as well, being a health coach. And you have your own products, but let me just be quiet. Let me let you talk about it. So go ahead and share with everybody.
Okay, it's your girl. It's your queen of skincare. No, I'm just playing. Let me. But so, the name of my business is A Queen's Essentials Natural Skincare. I'm also a skincare wellness life coach where I basically help develop self care, confidence, and loving the skin that you're in from the inside out, from what you place inside your body and how it shows out in your skin. Just allowing us to be mindful and being able to overcome obstacles and just to be able to enjoy yourself as a person. Basically, I went through a health scare, and I'm a master cosmetologist by trade. But I decided to, go to the skincare side because my family has a history of reoccurring skin conditions like eczema, acne, dermatitis. And so I wanted to go back to my roots in developing natural ingredients for skincare. And it's been a blessing. It's been amazing. And it's just been a huge creation for me. And then, of course, I had that health scare, like I was saying before, to where I was on the depot. I was on hormones. And basically what happened was right after I got the COVID shot, I had developed a huge blood clot, which in my right leg, they call it a DVT, that broke off into my lungs. And they said if I had waited another day to go to the hospital, I wouldn't be here today. So if it wasn't for my daughter saying, "Mom, look, you need to go to the hospital," and your leg is, I'm thinking, I work out and everything. I said, "Oh, I just pulled something," and then, but, the swelling wasn't going down. So I was like, so now you think I need to go to the doctor? She said, "Mom, go to the emergency room." So if it wasn't God through her telling her to make me go to the hospital, I wouldn't be here. And so basically, to make a long story short, they had to take me off, of course, off of the depot, off of the, hormones, because at the time that was helping me with my anxiety. That was helping me with, certain things that, that just was helping me, I thought was helping me health wise. But after they took me off of that, all of that came back. That anxiety, that depression, and that things that I became like allergic to even more so. And just I had to revamp my whole health because it's like, things came back, and, you had to relearn. I had to relearn myself. I had to refigure out my body. I had to refigure out my mind. I had to refigure out, okay, who am I? So that's through my testimony. That's just how I reach others, through that, and being the skincare, wellness, coach, and being able to make skincare for people, and being able to, be like, "Hey, it's okay. I've been through that, and I know all about that." I've been able to overcome. That's how, that's basically my ministry. So
That's beautiful. And I love how you're taking that testimony and story and sharing it to help others, and you continue to do that.
yes, yes.
Well, Conswella, it has been wonderful, amazing today. Thank you for coming in and just sharing your story, being so transparent. I cannot wait for the day where I get to hang out in person with you and JoJo, me and Jordan.
Yes.
And before we leave today, thank you again, first and foremost. But I know you talked about your website. Did you want to give any more social media handles?
Oh, yes. queensessentials.net, of course. I'm on Instagram, A_Queens_Essentials. I'm on Facebook, A Queen's Essentials. I also have myqueenguide.com, which is my free course, A Queen's Guide to Overcoming Any Obstacle. And I also have another book that I've written called Overcoming. And that is going to be coming out. I'm going to release that next week. But, those are going to be actually free and, to your access to be able to view. However, please schedule your skincare consultation. Get your skin right, get your mind right, get everything.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a blessing, and I'm so honored that you decided to have me on your amazing show. And I definitely look forward to us, getting together. And I just love when we as queens share the same stories, how we can be able to continue to help each other, embrace each other. And I think this is amazing, and continue doing what you're doing. You are amazing, phenomenal woman.
Oh, thank you, sis. Thank you, Queen. And before we go, so I won't forget,
Okay.
if there was anything out of this parenting journey, parenting JoJo, that the advice that you can give to other parents out there that have children with neurodiverse conditions or autism, what would you say to them? What would be your words to them right now?
Just to keep it blue, stay true and blue. And as long as you communicate that way, you'll be able to find out so much more and embrace yourself as well as your child.
I love it. I love it. Well, everyone, thank you for viewing this out there with all of us and taking the time to be here and just listen and learn. And I hope that it adds some value to your lives as well as your children's lives. Thank you again. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I love you until the next time.
Thank you. Love you, sis.